Hey everyone, it's Brett Hornby here, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. And make this part two of one of the biggest off-season moves that the Calgary Flames made. I already talked about that they did decide to name Craig Conroy as the next general manager of the Calgary Flames after when the Calgary Flames and then general manager Brad Treliving decided to part ways as his contract has expired. And at the time the Calgary Flames still had Darryl Sutter, but when the Flames decided to move on from Darryl Sutter, it gave a clean slate for the Flames to find a new general manager, and then that new general manager can hire their new head coach. So before I get to give my thoughts and feelings on the new head coach and the coaching staff of the Calgary Flames heading into the 2023-24 season, if you want to follow along with this Calgary sports fans journey, just make sure you hit like, subscribe, and have my other social media links down in the description below. But ultimately, just like with the general manager, that the Calgary Flames stayed within house, stayed with the internal candidate to when they hired Craig Conroy, where he was an assistant general manager, worked his way up when he started to become the special assistant back in 2011. Well, the Flames did the same thing. I'm going to say it was my second choice who I'd want for the Calgary Flames to hire as head coach, and Ryan Huska, and I could explain why he was my second choice. But I've always been intrigued by Ryan Huska since he joined the organization. You can go all the way back to 2014, the last season when the Calgary Flames American affiliate team was based out of Adirondack, as that's where Ryan Huska initially was hired. So if you saw, well, he's been at the organization since 2014, and that's going back to then. And then the team moved to the West Coast in Stockton, California. So it's a big move from New York State to California, and then he was with the Stockton Heat up until the 2017-18 season, where then eventually he got promoted up to the Calgary Flames to be one of the assistant coaches, starting in the 2018-19 season with Bill Peters. And we've gone through a few coaches since then, but Ryan Huska has always been the constant with one of the coaching staff, and he's been here since the 18-19 season, mostly looking at the penalty kill. And after initial learning curve, I'm going to say the Calgary Flames have done really well when it comes to the penalty kill. But the other intriguing things with Ryan Huska, as he has a lot of championship experience at the junior level, as he was a player on the Kamloops Blazers when they won their Memorial Cups led by Darryl McGinley. And back in 2018, believe it or not, it's back when I was able to do an annual spring vacation. I was in Kamloops. I actually walked around the Sandman Center, which is the name of the arena in downtown Kamloops, and saw the banners. And I actually saw Ryan Huska's name on one of the banners in terms of all the players there, with Darryl McGinley, Shane Doan, as well as Scott Niedermayer. So they had loaded teams. And then ultimately Ryan Huska spent some time coaching with the I believe he coached with the Kelowna Rockets as an assistant, then became a head coach and got back to the Memorial Cup that way as well. So he has done this before, where he was the assistant coach and then became the head coach of the team at the junior level. And interesting thing, they always say to coaches that it's basically you're hired to get fired. Well, actually Ryan Huska has never actually technically been fired from his job. He's either got promoted, or he decided to move on to take another job elsewhere. I can only imagine what it's like when I saw the interview with Ryan Huska when he talked about leaving Western Canada to go to New York State for likely a year just to go to California when the farm team was with the Adirondack and then going to Stockton before the team eventually moved up here. But Ryan Huska has been with the Calgary Flames since the 2018-19 season as an assistant. So the only thing you got to wonder about that is he's been on the staff this whole time. I mean, you could say it could worth both good and bad in terms of he knows what works with the team already. But now it's basically he was, they say the good cop, bad cop. And from what you've heard last season when it came to with Darryl, I'm going to say the good cop, bad cop gap was much, much wider. And now I'm going to say the onus is going to be on the players. Even more now that you heard all the news, rumors, gossip about Darryl Sutter that players were saying they didn't want to play for him anymore, and if he was still here, they want to get the heck out of here. And there's still some rumors about still players might potentially want to be out of here. But Ryan Huska now is the man. And I'm going to say both Craig Conroy and Ryan Huska right now, they look like they're on the same page, and that's something that obviously wasn't the case with the Calgary Flames last season with Brad Treliving and Darryl Sutter. And when I go back to that video when I talked about the moves when they both were gone, I think this franchise needed that. But Ryan Huska is now the head coach of the Calgary Flames, and I would say that I've always been intrigued by him, and I'm going to say there were times where I say he should be the next head coach earlier, even after when the Calgary Flames moved on from Glenn Galdson, which maybe it would have been too steep a learning curve to jump in right away, which might influence the other candidate that I was hoping the Calgary Flames was going to hire would have been someone new in this locker room that already has a pedigree in Mitch Love. As my first choice was I wanted Mitch Love to become the head coach of the Calgary Flames after he was the head coach of the Stockton Heat for last season they were Stockton, and this past season with when it comes to the Calgary Wranglers, just because the Flames, as I didn't mention in the general manager video, that they were looking at putting some more youth and enthusiasm in the lineup as opposed to all grizzled vets. Well, it would have been natural if you had Mitch Love when it comes to already working with the players from the Calgary Wranglers that are more likely expected to move up this season. However, Ryan Huska at the time, he never had any NHL experience, and that might have been a factor why he wasn't going to be the head coach of the Flames right away, because he wasn't on an NHL bench. In the meantime, I just felt that when we had Mitch Love, I felt like we might have had the next Jay Woodcroft, like the Edmonton Oilers up the road. However, the difference with Jay Woodcroft is he did spend some time as an assistant coach with the Terry Red Wings and the San Jose Sharks. Mitch Love has never been on an NHL bench as an assistant first, so I can understand why that decision get made. But ultimately, Mitch Love, he actually decided to take an assistant coach job with the Washington Capitals, because I think he was strongly considered to become the head coach of the Calgary Flames. Whereas Ryan Huska, or at least hoping that they could still keep him around as an assistant, but that didn't work out there. Other candidates that the Calgary Flames were considering were I heard Gerard Gallant was noted recently with the New York Rangers, but the only problem I would have with Gerard Gallant was he would be a player's coach version of Darryl Sutter. I mean, hearing that he's a lot more player friendly, but he would have still probably held the team back in terms of philosophy with not having as many young kids. And then you also heard Travis Green, who was most recently with the Vancouver Canucks, and apparently he was also considered to potentially become head coach before we went with Glenn Galdson, but things definitely seemed to tail off pretty quickly in Vancouver with Travis Green. Those were like the biggest names that the Calgary Flames were considering, but and then they were also considering potentially an Alex Tanguay or even Mark Savard. Well, Alex Tanguay, he still is, as I know, on the Detroit Red Wings assistant. So once he made going back to Mitch Love, and actually, believe it or not, I'm actually older than Mitch Love by a couple of years. So maybe he could still grit his teeth, and maybe he could still be around with the Flames in the future. But right now, it's Ryan Huska, and this is who else got hired with the Calgary Flames, as I actually like the other assistants they brought in, which I think will hopefully improve this team and get over the hump, especially when it comes to the power play and the fact that maybe we have some more creative younger coaches that we don't need to take 70 shots on net. But Huska is the head coach, but actually another former Calgary Flame that is coming back to the franchise, player that was always rumored to potentially come back as a player, but never worked out, is Mark Savard. And he's definitely someone's going to work with the power play and the offense. Apparently the Flames never practiced the power play last year, believe it or not. But Mark Savard, he actually does have some experience in the NHL outside of playing. I mean, he did play for the Flames, and then we traded him for it was Rusum Sanlunen that never worked out, who ever played in the NHL. But he was definitely beloved as a Calgary Flame, and looking back, we shouldn't have traded him away when he had a butting heads with then Greg Gilbert, where we ultimately fired him. Imagine if we had Mark Savard on the 04 team instead, or on the 04 team that we had. Maybe that could have been a difference, but he was the assistant coach of the St. Louis Blues in 1920 and improved their power play to be at 24.3%. So that's where I'm thinking, I'm liking this Mark Savard hiring. I mean, in terms of look at the power play and the offense. I think Jonathan Huberdeau, he should be excited about this. And then the last couple of seasons he was with the Windsor Spitfires, who made it to the OHL finals and had a strong power play. So we bringing in Mark Savard to join Ryan Huska. And then the other coach that we brought in is Dan Lambert. And I'm going to say he's here to maintain the Haley Kill. He definitely worked with Ryan Huska with the Kelowna Rockets and the Western Hockey League. So he is familiar with Ryan Huska back in their Western Hockey League days as the Rockets, and he was the coach when he was on the 2015 WHL Championship for Kelowna, that is. And then he was at the Buffalo Sabres assistant with the Rochester Americans, and then most recently he was with the Nashville Predators the last 3-4 seasons before coming here. And Nashville definitely has had a reputation for having a strong penalty kill and strong defensive group, and I think that will transition nicely here in Calgary. We are still keeping Cale McLean, who ultimately, he is another coach that moved up from the Stockton Heat. When Ryan Huska got promoted to become the assistant coach here in Calgary, Cale McLean was the head coach of the Stockton Heat. Ultimately, he got promoted up to the Calgary Flames assistant coach a couple years ago, and then when the Calgary Flames brought in Mitch Love to be the Stockton Heat coach and the Calgary Rangers coach. So we've been doing some promoting within, which looks good for in terms of developing coaches, but it's just a matter of keeping a head coach. Then we still have George Siglet as the senior goaltending coach, and Jamie Pringle as the assistant coach. And yeah, so we still have George Siglet and Jason LaBarbera as the other goaltending coach. So, and then the big moves that's leaving the Calgary Flames, as well. Mitch Love decided to take the assistant coaching job with the Washington Capitals. Well, so did Kirk Muller. Kirk Muller, I'm going to say he was sort of in flux. He was the associate coach. I'm going to say he was Darryl's pick as well, so I think it was likely he was going to go elsewhere if he wasn't considered becoming the head coach with the Calgary Flames. I mean, Kirk Muller has had experience as head coach with the Carolina Hurricanes and the Montreal Canadiens, but he was the associate coach, but apparently he was supposed to be working on the power play, and that was the other thing you kind of heard too with Darryl, is it was almost like he kind of shunned his assistants. But I think right now we have a crew with Ryan Huska. I mean, it's going to be an adjustment for him to be known as I'm the man now, as opposed to being the good cop. But I don't think at the same time it's not like with Jim Playfair when Darryl decided to step down to be general manager only, and Jim Playfair took over because that Darryl Sutter's not longer with the organization at the time. So I think this is just a unique situation. I'm going to say we have enough fresh bodies, fresh faces, fresh voices behind the bench for the Calgary Flames, and who knows what could happen in the next couple seasons with all the UFAs that we have coming, and if some players still want out, that there'll be enough turnover that things will still be fresh. But I'm going to still say I'm fine with the Ryan Huska hiring. I still would have preferred Mitch Love to be the head coach, or at least been on the staff somewhere, just because of the work that he's done with the Saskatoon Blades, and then here with the farm team. It helps too when you have the best goalie in junior or the American Hockey League to throw out there. But Mitch Love, and the fact that he played as an enforcer, as a tough guy for much of his career, who knows? We'll see what happens. There'll definitely be more storylines with the Washington Capitals. Actually, also Ryan Phillips also, Matthew Phillips, I meant to say, went to the Washington Capitals too. So there's going to be more storylines to see how Mitch Love, Kirk Muller, and Matthew Phillips is doing with the Washington Capitals. I guess, if you're a new coach, and if there's an opportunity to watch Alexander Ovechkin, I guess that could be one reason to want to go to Washington to get some experience. Just to see Alexander Ovechkin every day, I guess that could be the other. But I'm going to say, going back to here in Calgary, what do you think of this move? I mean, all the brass said, Don Maloney, John Bean, and the ownership said, you can pick any coach, Craig. Just make sure it's the right one. And obviously, it's kind of just been an issue the last few years. Hopefully not in a couple of years. We'll be talking about Ryan Huska not working out, and we're back in this again. I just hope this is a young coach that, could bring in some stability, the team progressing in the right direction, and just, airing out the, we've been hearing when it comes to Darryl Sutter. I still stand by that Darryl Sutter, he is still going to eventually, he should eventually be in the Hall of Fame as head coach. He's got the wins, he's got the cups, he's got some hardware. It's just what Darryl Sutter did, 10, 15, 20, 30 years ago as coach doesn't necessarily work as well with how players are built today. But what do you think of Ryan Huska and the whole staff? I'm just going to say I'm intrigued by Mark Savard coming in. I'm going to say that should help improve the Calgary Flames power play, and I'm going to say they should help Jonathan Huberdeau, I'm going to say as well, in terms of bouncing back and being able to be more creative. And then the Dan Lambert bringing in, his philosophy on defensive and penalty kill that he obviously kept going with the Nashville Predators. I think should be natural here in Calgary. That I think we should be in good shape right now. But what do you think? So I'll close out and say, if you want to follow along with this Calgary sports fans journey, just make sure you like, subscribe. I have my other social media links down in the description below, and I'm going to say best of luck to Ryan Huska to be he's now officially the 24th head coach in Calgary Flames history. All we ask for is things to work out, get back into the playoffs, and we can always dream to win the Stanley Cup, but let's just hope this upcoming season won't be as frustrating as this past season, and let's be on the right end of a few more of these close games, especially if it needs to go to overtime or a shootout, and just come up with a philosophy that we don't need to take 70, 80 shots in that to hopefully get 2 goals, especially if we, face another Jake Oettinger in Game 7 situation. So that's why I say, go Flames go. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.